Hey, what's up, guys? Shocktober continues to eviscerate and massacre the libs. uh, we got some books here that some of them I've had for a long time, and all of them I bought used, except this one. Actually, no, it looks used now because it's so old. I bought this, I think, in '94 in a bookstore in Manhattan, probably long gone. But these are some interesting books that I don't really hear mentioned too much, and they'll probably be almost impossible to find. Maybe on eBay. Um, and of course, like I said, the thing I always say about horror, right? Horror, whether it's literature, not all of it, right? But literature or cinema, a lot of it ages like fine wine. Okay, even the stuff you look at the '70s where you got people wearing the crazy clothes, the fashions. I think it adds to the creepiness of it. It adds to the otherworldliness of it because it literally is another world to you watching it now. Okay, whether you remembered it or not. And I remember a lot of movies back then before the internet. The only way you found out about movies, right? You had some magazines, Phantom of the Movies, or you had a column. I remember in the Daily News. I think that Phantom of the Movies, that was him. But you're looking at these books that were mostly pictures, right? This one in particular, but you had a lot of, as a kid, you would find out about these movies by looking in a book, and there would be a photo, still photo, and a caption of a movie, and you'd be like, oh man. And a lot of them were shown on television though, but back then, remember, you had to, you had to find out when it was on, and you had to watch it. This is before even VHS. So anyway, I'm gonna go through them briefly. Not really a lot. This one, Terror on Tape. This is the one I had bought new in '94 or '93 or whatever it was. And it's already kind of falling apart. This was a great resource, and it's still a great resource. It is about the VHS, horror on VHS. This is when, at the time when I had this book, I was discovering Midnight Video. I had mentioned them, bootleg horror. Some people badmouth that now, right? Like, oh, you were taking part in criminal behavior. It's like, are you kidding me? The only way you could see these uncut films was like this because the films that were released in VHS, particularly a lot of the foreign stuff, was cut to shreds. But not even some of the American ones were cut to shreds. And the writer is, what can I say? The writer is like I said, I get the impression that he's a snarky. I don't know anything about him. A snarky, campy guy. Okay, but there's a lot of this queer stuff in these things. So he kind of, in the vein of Joe Bob or Mystery Science Theater or whatever, or Elvira, he kind of takes little shots at some of the movies. Okay, while bringing up the ones that are really good. And I gotta say that all the snark aside, and it's not really that bad compared to today, right? A lot of his stuff is spot on. A lot of his opinions are actually, I agree with. Right? And it's cool too. He has these subcaptions. I learned a lot from this. He has these subcaptions of particular people, whether they're actors or directors, and you just go through from A, right? Uh, the abominable Dr. Phibes, right? He gives the cast, right? One of Price's best. This casts him in the tailor-made role of Dr. Anton Phibes, a horribly disfigured musical genius and religious scholar who avenges the operating table death of his beautiful wife by murdering the doctors he holds responsible in grisly methods inspired by the Old Testament plagues. Can't be good fun. This sports a rich ambiance of 1920s Art Deco elegance and a cleverly inventive script suited to Price's arch tongue-in-cheek screen image. Now this guy would say, "Oh, he's a ham," but okay. I'm just doing it around. Alien contamination, right? Junky but fun. Right? Italian-made bogus alien sequel ripoff about extraterrestrial eggs brought to Earth that cause people to explode whenever they get egg slime on themselves. Ultra gory hooey with a phony-looking monster making a token appearance at the climax. All right. So let's go here. I don't know. We're just going at random. You get me? This is where I first heard, he would have even the supporting actors. A familiar face in dozens of Hammer and Amicus films in the 60s and 70s, right? Michael Ripper. This wonderful British character actor inhabits his roles, whether comic or sinister, with a true sense of reality. His best roles are the dedicated henchman in Night Creatures, yes, Captain Clegg, And the put upon corporate toady in the mummy shroud. Oh, there's Ron Carlson. Jeez. And although he didn't like Dracula, yeah, he didn't like the Adam Dracula. So. But whatever, you can't be perfect. See, the thing's literally falling apart. Right? Of course, so many years have passed from this. A lot of the people that were still alive back then were passing away. But if you find this book, it is kind of fun. Remember, I still got VHS tapes. Not a ton of them. I still got VHS. I still got a VCR forehead VCR that works, and I'm holding on to that thing till till Judgment Day, or until the day of the the dissolution of the United States. Now these two books, I'll put them together. They seem to be from the same publisher. I actually got these. Shout out to Grumpy's in Liverpool, Pennsylvania. Great used bookstore, man. They got so much stuff there. So, and the guy is not grumpy at all. The guy is actually pretty friendly. But these ones had themes. There's two others that I didn't get my hands on, but this one was great. Catastrophe, right? All about end of the world kind of movie. And a Hammer film that was never made. Check this out, right? Zeppelin versus pterodactyls. Could you imagine? This is a Hammer film. Can you imagine if they had made this movie? Okay, of course I want the Germans to be the heroes in it, but that might be a bridge too far, mate. But can you imagine if they had made a movie Zeppelin vs. Pterodactyls? But the whole film here, there's a lot of end of the world stuff, right? But even more than that, there's just there's so many photos, right? Right, George Bailey was the first guy. He actually made a city falling apart, right? Oops. Oh yeah, they shot looters back in 1906 in the San Francisco earthquake. But a lot of disaster films. It's pretty much just mayhem, global mayhem, everywhere. Of course, the Slaughterhouse-Five. I'm gonna cover that shortly, and the things to come. But the point is that the themes here, the photos. I like pictures, right? Exactly. It does a good job of that. And this cinema of mystery is all about Poe's influence on this great book. Great. I mean, I don't know. There's not much for me to say. Lots of pictures, but a good theme here, right? Aubrey Beardsley, the Black Cat. I don't know if you could find these on eBay. I guess I should give the information. Bounty. What is this? Oh, look at Kung Fu Cinema of Vengeance. Hey, I would have liked to have seen that. Maybe you will. So, look at a Bounty. If you want to check these out. Bounty books. Alright, this book. Okay, you know what? I didn't get this book used also. I bought this in a Barnes & Noble back in the 90s. I remember I wanted to try to get a job at the Barnes & Nobles. And twice I applied and they never hired me. Apparently people wanted to hire me just to do like physical labor. This guy, I don't think he really did anything else. Bruce Lanier Wright. I like the intro that he does. In this, he basically talks about gothic horror movies. So he sets a definition of gothic horror. He doesn't have anything with the modern nihilistic horror, as he would put it. And he's not judging it. He's saying that's a kind of horror like the Romero stuff. But he's focusing on the supernatural and mainly the British films. He doesn't cover any of the Euro stuff, which would seem to me like blasphemy. But he really goes in deep here. And I like that he gets across in his essay. He's an American, but he spends a lot of time in England in a churchyard, right? I go to Britain fairly often, right? Back roads, pubs. Like I say, if I go to England, the UK, I want to just be here. Just want to see this and the Hobbits, and I don't want to see any. I see a baseball cap, I'm gonna get very angry. So there's no point. But he has a little story here. Let's see if I can get it. He explains it. Where is it? This story, come on. The history of gothic horror, all that stuff. Right. I like to say, I'll read it. He's with his friend. They went to the evening chill. They had ale at some cool pub called the Eight Bells. Right. So we saw from a distance the churchyard gate had not yet been locked, and thought we'd take one last turn through the grounds. We thought this all the way up to the gate. Beyond lay the cemetery in absolute blackness. We hovered in the gateway for a minute. The night air was cool and electric. And talking about the legend of like a dead child, the John Daniel murdered, in 2 centuries ago, and I guess in the 1700s. So they go there and they thought about calling out, "Are you there, Johnny boy? Are you there now?" Right? And then we both laughed and walked away. I felt elated and energized in a peculiar way, and I knew as a cold fact that bull elephants could not have persuaded me to enter that churchyard just then. Right? There's nothing, right? There's nothing there. Just darkness, right? Atmosphere, a feeling that you can't describe. That's not tangible, but your being knows that there's no way in hell you're going into that churchyard as the sun's going down, into the graveyard. Just like, that creepy ass house. The creepiest house I've ever seen. Believe it or not, there's plenty of them in Reading, but there's the creepiest house I've ever seen was actually in Pittsburgh. It's like this in Brighton Heights. There is no way in hell I would go into that house. I don't care if you gave me millions of dollars. Yeah. Anyway, and he covers, and he does a good job of what is it? Divvying up the movies. Let's go to the table of contents. Right? He has the movies about vampires, like Dracula himself, Frankenstein, Dracula, other vampires, okay, ghosts, Edgar Allan Poe film, the whole Poe cycle by Corman, Out of Space and Time, cosmic horror. Right? And there's a lot. It's actually really good. I like the guy. The guy doesn't come off at all. He actually makes some good points, things that I sort of agree with. He doesn't really say too much other than things about the modern horror. It is a kind of horror, he admits. It just doesn't appeal to him. He likes the good and evil. Right, here we go. Out of Space and Time, cosmic horror. Okay, well, who is dealing with this? That's right. The Creeping Flesh, man. I'm telling you, see that movie. The Haunted Palace, the one Corbin Poe cycle movie, which was actually, the case of Charles Dexter Ward with Vincent Price. That's actually a really good movie. And Die Monster, Die. Okay, people, dude, I don't care. I saw this as a kid in Allentown. That was great. And I never saw this film, but I remember seeing the scene of her dancing, Barbara Steele. Of course, I can't tell you Horror Express is great. But, yeah. Let's finish this up. Recommended book. Probably have to go on eBay to find it. All right, that's the name. That's the title. This book, I got this at a used bookstore in, what is it? Rockville Center, if you know where that is. And I'm sure it's long gone. This is a book, a British book. Dennis Guilford's A Pictorial History of Horror Movies. This one, they talk about photos. This one goes deep. This is an example of what I was talking about, of how you found out about movies back then. And then these books with the photos. And there's, Satan and Faust. Introduction. It's just a lot of good photos. He covers everything. Melee. Excuse me. There's a lot of, Japanese. He covers Japanese stuff, right? Yes, the Merry Frolics of Satan. You should watch some George Melee stuff. The Skull. But this book, too, is just lots of photos. And the writing is pretty good. He goes through it, describes it really well. Right? And, Filipino horror. It was actually probably one of the most diverse horror things. He covered stuff from other countries back. And this is like, bro, this came out before I was born. Right? Warlords of the Deep. Well, War Gods of the Deep. That's a good movie. And of course, look, Kaiju. Do you say Kaiju? If I was a kid, But yeah, so I got this. I remember fond memories of that bookstore. I went there with my girl a lot of times. So I liked how it ended here with the. What is this? Oh, running out of time. Yeah, Carry On Screaming. Yeah. Yep, Carry On Screaming. The Shocktober continues on the blood red, you know, outro.